chafina, chafinisha, ichi tena chafina, chafina, ichi tena chafina, chafinisha, ichi tena chafina. Aya ifumu ya bebe, awe na ila lotu, ya mukula lotu. Muchiri, mushawa mashani, ala wamina wengi, na panchipatarara, iwe wamina wengi, na panchipatarara. Noma boy bintu binyichi, mwasala kusi ya seo tulila. Chakalipa wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu wengi watusha ichi chena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu tutule wefumu wakulekela we mwine ichi chena chafina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela we mwine tutule
umumwakwenda na umfwila kasemo abati umopaliwe anakila kumushini umwajilinga wenkondo halume ya chalo aponye mfutia aya wenda mutende wenda wayimina tukesa umana
mengi maya ichi chena chakalipa wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu wengi watusha ichi chena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine tutule wakulekela we mwine ichi tena chafina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela we mwine chena chakalipa wakulekela we mwine ule wefumu wengi watusha ichi chena chafinisha wakulekela we mwine ule wefumu.
Nguvu zenindala na ngule chilo Okeboze tulive na kuyalelo devyo bayefi Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoto kula kuibukisha Tana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Awazunga watita katongi na kula kuibukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Kiyaba Kiyaba Kateka wabantu twakulira lelo twakulira shika kukonke milimo shove ale filamba fiena minta pengo sile eti kume mokula dolole abale lilo wingi
iseko wingi mwakwete isaso wingi mwakwete mwaya Penda Upanga mwine Kolya mwine Ide lalila Lalila Lalila
Kangu ya mama ume Ala nacho fafye Mama The blessed day, Monday, the 11th of August, 2025. Today I'm privileged that I'm hosting Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe, and an economist and financial analyst, a Zambian national based in the United States here in Atlanta, Georgia. What are we discussing? We are discussing the gold subsector. You know, gold is just breaking out like it's cholera in Zambia. You have gold breaking out in Vubwi, in Petauke, in Nyimba, in Chongwe, in Mumbwa, in Nangoma. You have gold breaking out in Mukushi, in Mwinilunga, sorry, for callers, you have to wait for us, please. You have to wait. We are barely starting the program. Mwinilunga and the recent crisis in Mufumbwe. What can we do? This is a huge resource. Who's benefiting from it? We saw in Mali that the issue of gold mining, that has been mined for centuries. There's a military government. They took action. Barrick Gold was a miner there. They slapped a big charge on them and that they should pay, I think, up to $80 million up front. When they couldn't, they just took over the mine and put their own administrators. You know, Barrick Gold was running that profitable Loulo Guokonto gold complex. If you go to Ghana, Ghana has a lot of gold, but it's mined by illegal mining and youths. So what did the new president do? He simply legalized the mining, gave everyone who was on any site, either they grouped them together as cooperatives or they gave individual artisanal license. And within a period of 6 months, Ghana has earned $5 billion. Here in Zambia, there's something strange we have done. Kansanshi Copper Mine has signed an agreement with First Quantum's subsidiary Royal Gold, and Royal Gold will receive an upfront payment of $2 billion. Probably that $2 billion will not be invested in our country. But the gold at Kansanshi is already locked up with an agreement of a subsidiary of First Quantum. I think that for me even smells transfer pricing. We saw that with Glencore. We saw that Glencore operating an importing company subsidiary from Switzerland, and our biggest copper exports were going to Switzerland. Even when no single copper arrived in Switzerland, First Quantum has done the same. We are discussing the gold subsector. I saw a conversation, one proposal from Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe and another one fiercely opposed by George and Mtonga. But both of them wanted a solution that can this gold that we are finding benefit our country, benefit issues of employment and empowering young people, and put it in the hands of professionals, but different approaches. So let me invite to my panel the people that will anchor and help me with this debate. I have George N. Mtonga, an economist and financial analyst, a Zambia national based here in the United States. George, welcome to today's broadcast.
Thank you very much, Ambassador.
George, I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me? Thank you very
now
much.
I can. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe, I see Parliament is on recess and you are doing a lot of work in the constituency, and at least you even found time to write about the gold proposal in this subsector. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good evening, Mwamba. Good evening, George. Here in Zambia, it's past 20. I'm doing fine. I can't complain. Just a lot of things on my mind regarding our country. Quite a lot on my mind.
Wonderful. George, let's start with you. Define to us the current gold subsector and what your thoughts are about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to start by saying that I think everybody agrees that there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for gold beyond copper. And who knows, we may even end up finding ourselves in a situation where gold becomes the second largest commodity exported out of Zambia after copper from a forex standpoint of view. And the opportunities there. And I do believe these types of discussions on, I think it hinges on how should government look at this? Should government be involved? And if the government is going to be involved, how should they get involved? Ghana's success is very impressive, but I think copying their model exactly for what it is may be a mistake in Zambia, right? In Ghana, one government agency, the Gold Board, is the sole buyer of artisan gold. Foreign traders are banned. That's not a free market. And for me, I'm a free market economist. I'm a free market business guy. In a free market, obviously, for some of you guys who may not really understand their ideological philosophy, you have multiple buyers that compete, and miners get the best price. So as much as Honorable Kang'Ombe's approach is for the Zambians, my approach is also targeting Zambians, meaning that can we create a system around this commodity where Zambians create value and it benefits them? I just think we have a different approach. In my world, I'm trying to see if the private sector can initiate that value. The Honorable obviously is also looking at to what extent can government be involved. In a system, Ambassador, where government controls pricing, they control licensing, you will have a situation where artisans, if they don't find the right price, they will start smuggling some of these gold. If they are obligated to buy from the Zambian, to sell to the Zambian government, we're going to find ourselves in situations where we've noticed, like, something like maize. Maize, if the price is not good for the meal or whatever prices the government is giving, people will start smuggling to a market where they can get the best price. And in one instant, Ambassador, let me give you an example. In your situation, if you had a legitimate property and you had gold, so you had land maybe about 500 hectares, and you found out and you figured out that you can mine gold over there, given your political stance, what type of business opportunities do you think you would get if the rule is that you can only sell to the Zambian government? And on top of that, if you decide to sell outside, it's illegal. So I do believe that a certain level of government involvement is going to create a situation where these companies that are going to be initiated by the Zambian government just become political tools that can either reward those who support the government or punish those who don't support the government. This is where my concern lies. It's not necessarily the jump starting of this economy around gold by the Zambian government. It's the extent to which they are going to control that system. That's where my fear is. And in terms of creating value, Ambassador and Honorable, I do believe there's ingenuity in free markets. Case in point, the bus system in Zambia. Remember when we had a bus system that was governed by the Zambia government, I think it was UBZ. The moment MMD came into power and they liberalized that market, transportation costs went lower. People had more opportunities to travel around Zambia because the market itself was addressing their demands without the government forcing anybody. Somebody can just wake up today and say, hey, I'm going to buy a car and start doing Yango. That is what a free market does. It innovates itself without government interference. Thank you very much.
Honorable Christopher Mtonga, Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe, George is talking about the liberalizing of the economy, and I hope your internet will hold. I have reflections. When we started mining in for the emerald sector, remember there was a rush where it was dominated by Senegalese and Malians. And it took a long time for government to take hold of that. So they deployed ZCCM at a time, which formed a company called Kajem. And I think later they allowed another private sector. But they gave licenses to artisanal license, I think up to 460. Those small mines have never taken off for over 30 years. In fact, each small miner or artisanal miner has held that license as a part of mortgage where they're looking for investors that have never come. Is your approach taking into consideration, for example, the study around the emerald sector where you have over 460 licenses that have never taken off and only the big mines, Kajem and Grizzly, have taken off? Let me bring in Honorable Kang'Ombe to answer that question. Yes, Honorable Kang'Ombe.
Yeah, well, Mwamba, it will be very difficult for me to answer that question without first of all putting on record my proposal, because it is my proposal that I think will then clarify your very, very important question. Now,
please,
you
be at liberty. This is a debate.
Yes, please. So, you are aware that currently we are sitting at 2.8 tons of gold, okay? And when I'm saying we are sitting at 2.8 tons of gold, I'm referring to how much gold the Bank of Zambia is holding as gold reserves. So if you followed what the Bank of Zambia have been discussing, they are basically saying we only have $300 million worth of gold. So that is the starting point. We don't have enough reserves, okay? Is it a good thing to have gold reserves as a country? It's a good thing. How much gold reserves do other countries in Africa hold at the moment? I think we have Algeria, should be at 174 tons of gold. We have Ghana, which I think George just discussed. Ghana is sitting at about just above 34 tons of gold. And they were only at 8 tons, I think, 2 years ago. So within a space of 2 years, they've been able to jump from 8 to 34. So to start with, because people are following this conversation, the amount of gold that will sit in your Bank of Zambia or your central bank, which is the Bank of Zambia, is very key. And I'm sure George will agree with me that it is a good thing to have reserves with the mineral code gold. It's just important. So there I don't think we have a problem. Now, here's where the problem comes in. The problem comes in because licenses for the last so many years have been issued. I asked the Minister of Mines in Parliament, using the opportunity we have to ask questions, how many licenses have you issued? so many licenses get issued for so many different types of minerals. But because we don't have a mechanism that then ensures that money is provided to enable those artisanal miners to be able to get the resource out of Zambia, out of the soils, get it to the Zambia Gold Company, which is the aggregator, and eventually into Bank of Zambia. The reason Zambia Gold Company was created was to deal with the problem that George raised. George raised the issue of pricing. George raised the issue of the local gold traders being manipulated. Someone coming into Zambia and saying, this is the price that I'm ready to offer, give me your gold. And out of desperation, people sell their gold. So to attempt to deal with the problem of pricing, a company called Zambia Gold Company was established. Now, George challenged me to say, Chris, you want government to be involved in this sector. I want to put it on record that government is already involved. How are they involved? There is already a company which is owned, 49% of shares in the Zambia Gold Company is owned by Ministry of Finance, which is government. 51% of the Zambia Gold Company is owned by ZCCMIH. So from a structure and holding point of view, government is already involved at aggregation stage. What is aggregation? Aggregation means you have all these small people who are mining gold who then have an opportunity to take their gold into one company called an aggregator called Zambia Gold Company. Then the Zambia Gold Company takes the gold to Bank of Zambia. The whole essence behind that option of securing the gold was that the price would then be predictable. The price would then be known. It would then be easy for all these artisanal miners to be able to say, wait a minute, instead of us speculating on the price of gold, we'll take the gold into a company that already gives us a good price, a price that is agreed upon. So in terms of government involvement, I want to indicate to those that are following this conversation that government is already involved. As much as the conversation now is, it should now be for Zambians. And that brings me to the second question, the second issue. The second issue is, why should gold be for Zambians? Why should gold be for us to build reserves into Bank of Zambia? The whole essence is that we want to have the value that obviously all these other big countries have. All these other countries have got huge gold reserves. And I'm sure experts will then be able to enlighten us on what are the advantages of having a huge amount of gold reserves. So to clarify my proposal, and I want to be on record again, Christopher Kang'Ombe is not proposing nationalization of the mining sector. I'm not proposing that we decide as a policy of government that no foreign direct investment should come into Zambia for mining. Christopher Kang'Ombe is saying we have enough qualified people in Zambia, number one. We have enough skilled Zambians in the gold subsector and other mining sectors. It is now time for us to be discussing, and that is why I challenged George. I'm sure George, as he responds, he'll be able to refer to my challenge to him. My challenge to George is that all of you guys who are experts in understanding financial modeling, which financial model works for which type of sector, okay? You then have to agree with me, George, that the financial model for FDI works for large-scale mining, where you need millions of dollars to be able to invest into mining exploration, because exploration is where we lose it out. Secondly, you need to invest in the actual mining, so you have a mining license. And thirdly, the actual now operations of taking the material that is in bulk. So there I have no argument. We need some form of partnerships when it comes to large-scale mining. But for the artisanal mining, for the small-scale miners, where we know here government has a role to play, I think that we can't exclude government from the conversation. And last, there's a law that was recently enacted by Parliament, which has introduced what is called an artisanal mining fund. So now there's a law which says, look, Ghana has a fund which supports small-scale miners and artisanal miners. Now we also have a fund under the laws of Zambia. What we should be discussing now is how do we resource that fund to support the local people? So in short, I want to indicate that the argument from Christopher is simply that currently government already has a role to play. What we now need to enhance is how do we ensure that as government plays their role, we still get our local people to participate in this very key sector called the gold subsector. So these are my preliminary remarks. I think there are other things that are.
Yeah, Honorable Kang'Ombe, it is very clear that, first of all, many people didn't know that it is very clear. It's very clear that many people didn't know that our country had so much gold. We knew we're a copper producer. We knew we're a cobalt producer. But we didn't know that we're a gold producer. And in fact, mines like Kansanshi, Sentinel, and all those mines, someone has argued that they must actually be called not copper mines, but gold mines, because the presence of gold in those copper deposits is quite high that it can be regarded just as a byproduct. I like how Kansanshi was redefined as a Kansanshi Copper and Gold Company. I think that should be, even in the nomenclature, should be clear that the amount of gold being found in these institutions is quite high. Now that gold is breaking out everywhere, and it's taking a long time for government to come around and regulate the sector and earn from it. In fact, every time there's a gold rush, you hear that is Burundians, Rwandese, Tanzanians, and Sudanese that go to camp in those areas. And our youths just dig the gold and give it to them. There's no benefit, direct benefit to government, to the treasury. Even our youths are just used as diggers. And again, the old story of foreigners benefiting from our economy persists. What should be done now with this plenty of gold being found everywhere? I don't know who's starting first between the two of you.
I was just going to go ahead and respond to some of the points Honorable Kang'Ombe has pointed out. I think where I get concerned is this idea of government is already involved and they should be involved, and we're not discussing that. Honorable Mwamba, my fear is not that we do not want government to participate. I think government has a role to play in the mining sector. It has the regulatory power, it has the tax authority power, but I generally try to limit government to that. Government, in the interest of increasing the treasury, and I think Honorable Kang'Ombe and I agree that we want to buy as much gold from a government perspective. We want to buy as much gold as possible. Why? The benefits are these. We can literally use our gold reserves as a hedge against currency depreciation. So there are mechanisms that benefit us. So the idea that should the Zambian government be buying gold, should we increase our reserves to such an extent that it's even 40% of our reserves? That one is a given, because gold is going to not only provide strong reserves that are inflationary hedges, but it's also going to help us manage our currency whenever our currency is having issues. So that's a given. We want to do that. The Zambian government's ability to create a company where they say, hey, we are able to buy gold for this price. Yes, that is a given. Where I have a concern is simply looking at the Zambian government and at our politics, the way they are structured. As I said earlier, the value creation for Zambians, that's a given. We must always pursue that. But we live, Ambassador, in a political environment where your politics define your business. Your fealty to a government, to a political party, directs how you function from a business standpoint of view. So my fear is this: if the government comes at a level where control is such that everything you come up with, the minerals that you mine, the gold that you mine, you can only function in that economy if you sell to the Zambian government. What's stopping somebody at this same gold company saying, well, you are PF. Even if you have the gold, you're not going to sell it to us. We won't buy it from you. What is stopping any of these individuals in government from using, because we may agree and say, okay, let's go ahead and do this. And then 10 years later, we end up transforming this system as a place where government and politicians are putting their cadres. The same way Zesco has operated, where that's a place where everybody sends their cadres as a reward. So if you are bringing in an industry that has never existed to a level where it is right now when it comes to gold, I am cautious of the level that government should come in, because at the same time, you have individuals that can innovate in this space. They may have different political opinions, but their innovations are genuine. We've lived in a society in Zambia where you can have a cure for cancer in Zambia right now. But if you belong to the opposition, the government may not even accept that cure. That is where my caution is. So when we speak about government involvement, and the Honorable Kang'Ombe says, well, it's already there. It's already there, but it's not an interference. In fact, the level at which government is there is actually very productive in that it creates a pricing strategy. The same thing we have with FRA, where it's like, for the most part, if you don't know how much to sell your maize, you just wait for FRA to give you a price and you will gauge where you are. So those benefits are obvious. The ability for licensing are obvious. It's there. So I think where Honorable Kang'Ombe and I deviate is the level at which government ends up controlling this sector. So that's kind of my caution, just knowing how politics are in Zambia. My second point is I am 100% in agreement with the Honorable when we say that when we resolve how government gets involved in this sector, we should definitely be held responsible for providing the right financial models and the right financial structures for Zambians to use to capitalize these opportunities. Ambassador, we have a society that hasn't created a lot of assets. So meaning that, like the Honorable MP has observed, even if we pushed these opportunities to our people, they don't even have the money to take advantage of these opportunities. So in that regard, that's a conversation, that is an entire conversation I would be willing to have with governments to say, well, okay, how are we going to do this? But again, I caution the idea that we recently had, what was that, the IDC? The IDC ended up being a bank for politicians to borrow money. So if we came up with the right financial models, how am I guaranteed that somebody's political attitude, somebody's political vision, somebody's tribe is not going to be an obstacle? How are we going to guarantee that a good idea comes in, is funded? That's where my caution is always when it comes to government and government directing these facilities. Thank you. Ambassador, you able to hear me?
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. George. Yeah, thank you, George. Honorable Kang'Ombe, I'll move to Honorable Kang'Ombe. George, I think George hasn't heard me. George, I will move to Honorable Kang'Ombe. Honorable Kang'Ombe, George is arguing that he doesn't want the participation of government beyond their regulatory or tax opportunity. How do you answer that? You have said government should have a presence like ZCCMIH, should begin to mine, should be in the market as a co-partner, for example, to youth groups, as a co-partner to foreign investment, depending on the gold find and the gold deposit. But George, being a liberal economist, is of the view that government's role must be limited to its tax, power and its regulatory power. How do you answer that?
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate George. George has done well to try and separate the issues, try and isolate points of agreement, and also try and isolate points of disagreement. And I'm happy that from his point of view, the points of how do we design the financial models that will help our young people participate in the mining sector, I'm happy that he's agreeing that people in the financial space are supposed to help us, because we can't leave that to speculation. We now need people to be able to sit down and be able to say, wait a minute, how much do we need, for instance, to run a gold mine? And let me also help the people that are following this conversation. Gold doesn't exist the same way in different parts of Zambia. And I think this is the case in so many different parts of Africa. For instance, here in Zambia, the gold that you find in Kansanshi is found together with copper. So as you are mining your copper, you are also mining your gold. So that is gold in Kansanshi mine. If you go, for instance, to a place like Mumbwa, people pick gold so easily, and I think this is the practice also in Vubwi, Eastern Province. It's easy to pick the gold because there's less effort that you need to undertake. So in terms of how much money and how that money will be raised for our local people to be able to participate in the gold subsector, I'm happy that George is agreeing that it is possible to design the right financial models. And we'll have a conversation on another platform or another day, Mwamba, when we'll discuss which models can work. That is where the experts have to come in. Those of us who are discussing policy, then we'll deal with the issues where we are not agreeing with my colleague George. Now, here are the things that I would propose on how we should proceed. Number one, I have noticed that one of the tools or one of the instruments that allows foreign entities to be able to raise finance for the mining sector, and particularly even the gold subsector, is that they have access to an exploration report. So, Bamwamba, before you do any mining, you want to know roughly where is your material and to what extent is the material existing. So at the stage of exploration, Bamwamba, we have not participated as Zambia, as Zambians. And that is where I want to start. That is where we now need to establish. If government at early stage is able to have access to the real information, the actual extent of existence of the deposit, if government is able to say, we've done the mapping, which I am sure colleagues that are following are aware, that there's geological mapping currently taking place. Now, there's a problem with that geological mapping. It's not separating minerals correctly. They've done the report. They haven't made that report public. I think there's a reason why they haven't done it. But I would want us to be very clear that at the stage of mapping and at the stage of exploration, we need government to be involved, because they will then own the information. They will then own the data. Because if you have geological data which you don't own, which is being provided or which is being kept by a foreign entity, already at stage one, George, the Zambian government has lost an opportunity to have the correct say over how the business should be transacted. So stage number one, exploration, the Zambian government should own the data. we don't want to see a situation where we don't participate at that stage. Stage number one. Stage number two, I'll give an example of the Mufumbwe gold mine. If you go to Mufumbwe, government hasn't told us the extent of the mine where the gold is existing. But I'm aware that last week the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Mines, did announce that 90 cooperatives have been given licenses. Now, I have a problem with 90 cooperatives being given licenses when we don't know the remaining extent of the land where the gold is existing, which has not yet been allocated or given to any license holders who are local Zambian license holders. So where else should government be involved? The entire stretch of land should be licensed to government, and then you know how licenses are issued. You can have the bigger license, and within that license, you then start issuing licenses to those local participants who want to participate. So by Bamwamba, to answer your question, the reason why there's emphasis on government role is that we don't want to lose the opportunity where the bigger portions of land where the gold is existing, those are given to foreign entities. So even the issue of licensing, George, it may look to be an easy task. The laws are there, the policies are there, but I can rest assure you, if we don't hold government to account, if we don't task them to own the portions and then start giving to our local people, the bulk of our gold reserve, bulk of our gold deposits will go to foreign entities. So as I make this clarification, George, where we are not agreeing, I think your point is about a free market economy may actually get a better price for our people. That I picked what you said. If we left the markets to decide which price will be determined for the price of gold, then people will get more money. It may sound to be as simplistic as you've indicated, but the opportunity will be lost if the role of government doesn't start at exploration and doesn't also translate into ensuring that the actual mining license is not given to a foreign entity. And that is why I've been very unapologetic about Zambian ownership of the gold sector. I look at how the gold sector has transformed many countries. I'm of the firm view, and I'm reluctant to depart from this view that if we get the Zambian government playing a bigger role, there'll be no opportunity for government to sell these licenses to foreign entities. For me, I want to be very clear. I'm assuming that the regulator, which is the Minerals Regulation Commission, will then ensure that, wait a minute, who is getting the license? If we allow it to be open-ended, if we insist that anyone can participate in this very, very key sector, we will see people rushing into Mumbwa. We will see people rushing into all these places complaining that only foreigners are benefiting. So I hope that even as George responds, he will also be able to touch on the issue of, should we allow foreign entities to participate in this very, very key sector? And lastly, Bamwamba, in Ghana, because we're also trying to benchmark against Ghana, what are the best practices? Yeah, best practices may be subjective, but I'll tell you what is in the law. In Ghana, for instance, they used to have a company called Precious Minerals Marketing Company, which used to market minerals. Then they decided, let's come up with the Ghana Gold Board, okay? Now, let me tell you one of the functions of the Ghana Gold Board. The Ghana Gold Board allows the Minister of Mines in Ghana, using the powers under the law, under section, I think that should be section 7 of the laws, yeah, section 7 of the Minerals and Minings Act of Ghana, the 2006 law, where government is able to buy not just part of the gold, but they can actually buy all the gold that is produced. So in essence, we have copied a few nice provisions from the Ghanaian law, and we've actually put them into the new laws in Zambia. What remains now is for us to agree. Do we leave the pricing for gold to the open market, which George is raising, or do we ensure that whoever is producing the gold knows the price that they'll be able to sell their gold to the Zambia Gold Company, which is a government entity, and also eventually to Bank of Zambia? So in short, the Zambian government must be involved at exploration. I know it's expensive, but we must find a way. The Zambian government should be involved at ownership of the mining companies which are doing gold. And thirdly, the Zambian government must then allow these young men and women that are doing artisanal mining to be able to get the gold into the Zambia Gold Company and eventually into Bank of Zambia.
Thank you, Honorable Kang'Ombe. Thank you, Honorable Kang'Ombe. So, you are right, gentlemen, on the issues of the particular issues surrounding the policy and expert knowledge on this matter. I'm privileged that I'll be hosting Brave Kachusha Mushika. You know, he's currently a chief executive officer in South Africa. He runs a smelter company. Then I've got Victor Mwaba, who is doing global metals and mining industry and is based here in the United States. These gentlemen will come on Sunday on the diaspora column. Our diaspora forum will host Brave Kachusha Mushika, who is a CEO. He's been in the mining sector. He's worked across the world and is currently based in South Africa. And I've got Victor Mwaba, a global metal and mining expert who's based here in Florida in the United States. And they will discuss the best practices awesomely on mining and what needs to be done to the sector from what they've learned across the world without disenfranchising mine houses who are big investors in this sector, big long-term investors in this sector, without falling into the pitfalls of where the resource doesn't benefit the local people, without, again, creating policies that benefits our country. The frustration, gentlemen, for you on the panel is that we are a leading copper exporter in the world. We are among the top 10. What has DRC done to ensure that it's a leading export of copper? It has become number 2, I think, after Chile, while we have lagged behind. So there'll be those issues that will be discussed on Monday. But for this panel, we are discussing the gold and gold discovery. What can be done in the moment to benefit our people, to benefit the treasury, and to regulate the sector, because there's environmental damage that is being done already. If you hear wherever they are mining gold, people are using and killing those rivers because they use them as wash basins. Sometimes they use substances like mercury and acid to do the cleaning, and that is polluting the rivers. How do we benefit, gentlemen, this gold discovery? What must be done? We don't seem to have a proper framework. Whoever can be found, you know. I was looking for one young man. He has disappeared the last 3 months at Alia Kuma Gold, you know. So those matters are becoming very apparent that the sector is not regulated. The sector is for free for all, and anyone is benefiting however they can, except government and the local communities where that gold is being found. Let me invite George to answer to what Honorable Kang'Ombe has stated, and also to answer to this question that I have brought. George, the forum is yours.
So I think Honorable Kang'Ombe mentioned the exploration side of government involvement. I love the fact
George,
that he mentioned
the forum is yours.
Yes, sorry, can you hear me? Ambassador, can you hear me? Ambassador, are you? Ambassador, I'm sorry.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now. Okay, all right. Thank you. So I just wanted to touch on what Honorable Kang'Ombe said. I love the idea of exploration and government involvement in exploration. That is intellectual property. I think the government should always be in that framework. They should always be looking at the entire landscape in Zambia and figuring out where these mineral opportunities are. If anything, it is an opportunity to collect data for intellectual academic work. That should always be there. I think that investment can only come from the Zambian government. I don't think anybody can just wake up and have that level of capital to say, let me go to northern province and see if there are any minerals somewhere. I think between the ministries in Zambia, the land, the mines, energy, any of these, they can coordinate with specific universities in Zambia and engage academic exercise. And for me, for the most part, it remains an opportunity to secure intellectual property for the country. So that's one area. The second item that the Honorable said was, in this particular key sector, from a policy standpoint of view, should we saying that only Zambians can join this market? I don't think that is a wrong approach. And the reason why I don't think it's a wrong approach is because if you go to most of these countries, whether you go to Ghana, you come to the United States, you go to Saudi Arabia, everybody understands that ownership of these assets by the local community, by the citizens of the Republic of Zambia, is a critical path to development. From an economic standpoint of view, money given to a Zambian always ends up in Zambia. Even those of us living abroad, the money earned ends up in Zambia. I have always argued that the investment in Zambia are not the roads, are not any of these things. The best investment will always be a Zambian person. Why? Because their money will always find itself in Zambia, regardless of where they are. And we are not doing anything that other countries wouldn't be doing or are not doing. In the United States, somebody who's from China, they have a limit to how much land that person can buy. In fact, if you go to China right now, there are limits to how you operate in the Chinese market. So creating a policy that benefits Zambians, that allows Zambians to own this infrastructure, is critical. Where Honorable Kang'Ombe and I are deviating is I don't want a policy that takes away the competitive element of a market to such an extent that we lose all opportunities for innovation. Because Honorable Mwamba, you've seen in Zambia, a lot of people do business with the Zambian government, and the only thing they do is submit something, fertilizer comes and all that stuff. There's no desire to innovate because guess what? You are guaranteed a contract with the Zambian government. You are guaranteed a payment from the Zambian government. So how are you going to innovate? How are you going to figure out a better way of producing this gold? When you look at your P&L, how are you going to build a better P&L for your operations when the Zambian government is pretty much the end of all? That is where I am concerned. And again, for policymakers like Honorable Kang'Ombe, their value of what they want to do is always in the right place. Honorable Kang'Ombe wants to guarantee Zambian benefit. Honorable Kang'Ombe wants this to benefit our treasury. And those end goals are obvious. My proposal and my attitude is I can still get to what the Honorable is saying without taking away the competitive element of a free market. Because if I'm able to create a system where all these miners are able to compete, the end goal is still a benefit for the Zambian people. The end goal is extreme good taxation revenue. The end goal is a system that is regulated where people are not dying. Policymakers and approach, if those are the goals that they want, those are the right goals. My contribution is this: I can get that exact conclusion with a free market economy, and we can innovate. Ambassador, I would like to point to telecommunication. cell phones. Ambassador, in the 90s, somebody having a telephone was specific groups of individuals. But look at the innovation that we've been able to achieve. Now, imagine if Zamtel was the only telephone company out there, and everybody had to buy phones from Zamtel. Everything you did is Zamtel. Right now, my grandmother in Masala can send me a text message, can send me a video call, because we liberalized that industry and we allowed it to innovate. We allowed it to do what the market is supposed to do. And I do feel any market, any opportunity that we find ourselves in Zambia, we can allow for that free market to bring in the innovation that leads to the goals Honorable Kang'Ombe is looking for. Again, I am not disputing the fact that we need more gold reserves in our bank. I'm not disputing the idea that the Zambian people must always be the end beneficiary to these opportunities. But at the same time, we don't want to take away this opportunity for innovation in these industries. That is always where I am cautious, because if you look at these relationships that government has with the private sector where everything is guaranteed, Ambassador, look at ZCCM. Some of the companies are not producing any value at all. Some of these companies have been losing money for God knows, I don't know, maybe it's like what, the last 10 years, the last 5 years. You see? I would propose this, Honorable Kang'Ombe, when it comes to ownership structures. The government can create an opportunity. Why not bring those shares to the stock market? When you bring those shares, so, you create those companies, you create the companies that you want in terms of government involvement, but then you offload those shares on the stock exchange. On the stock exchange, we invite the pension funds. Remember, the pension funds is money that belongs to the Zambian people. So when those companies sell their shares on the stock market, to satisfy your goal of ownership of Zambians, those shares are owned by the Zambian people through pension funds, through NAPSA, through all these people. The reason why I prefer that model is because the Zambian government will not bring in a political appointee to run that company, because the shareholders themselves, the private shareholders, the private Zambian shareholders will be able to see if they can hire a CEO who will actually run the company in the interest of its shareholders, who are the Zambian people. If you look at the companies 100% owned by the Zambian government, Ambassador, they don't perform. Because guess what? I can just somebody who's a political appointee and put them there for 5 years. Whether they succeed or not is inconsequential. But if we float these shares, even some of these companies that are in ZCCM, bring them to the stock market, allow us to participate. I am happy with how we've done the bond structure, where, Ambassador, I can sit here in Atlanta and buy bonds in Zambia. You see? The Zambian government is allowing us to own the debt instead of foreigners owning the debt and interest coupon payment outside Zambia. We get coupons, we spend the money in Zambia. So, Honorable Kang'Ombe, that logic is not to us. I'm just proposing a different way of living our end goals, which is everybody's goal, the idea that we need the maximum tax revenue from the gold industry. It is an industry where government should be involved. I deviate. Second point is involvement should not stop innovation in the.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George. Thank you, George. So I'll be opening phone lines. Colleagues, you can call on the number that you know is scrolling there, 0973-078082. We are discussing the gold subsector. We have the big one on Sunday on the Diaspora Forum, where we'll host Brave Kachusha Mushika, a renowned mining engineer and is based in South Africa. And we are going to have Victor Mwaba, a global metal and mining expert based in the United States. And the two will discuss policy, best practices, and how we can benefit from the mining sector. This particular one, I'm hosting Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe, Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa. He has proposals of how our country can benefit from the gold that is breaking out everywhere. George Mtonga, on the other side, a Zambian national based here in the United States, wants to use financial markets and financial instruments to benefit this market. He doesn't want government involvement beyond its tax and regulatory capacity and role. He wants it limited there. He fears that companies like ZCCMIH or Zambia Gold are frequently interfered with by the state, because the state sets up the board, appoints a CEO, and then nothing gets done. Kang'Ombe on the other side has a proposal that these companies must be empowered, given professional standing, and allow to to participate to secure public interest. We are all speaking the same language. Is how does this gold we are finding everywhere benefit our country? Maybe we will see one day that our ministers of finance will not be camping in Washington for 2 weeks trying just to get a loan of $1.3 billion, money they can get in a period of 3 months if they dealt with properly the issues of gold. Ghana has shown us a new president comes to a sector that has existed the last 65 years of former independent government. And government has not always just cries. The larger mining sector in Ghana are run by multinationals, but it is these gold that are discovered across the country that they do not, that is just subject of either illegal mining, illegal rushes, and nothing benefits. Ghana has put up some mechanism in which within a period of 6 months, they've earned $5 billion from the sector. Can we do the same? Can we stop this humiliation of looking for money from the IMF? Because the IMF money they give us, that money is available in our country. So the line is open. I have Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe and I've my young brother George N. Mtonga, who's featuring here. Let's hear from you, and you ask them your questions. The lines are open. The lines are opened. Okay. Colleagues, let me take a few, just get your notepads to hear from these calls. Caller, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I will remain anonymous. Good evening, and good evening, Honorable Kang'Ombe. Good evening, Mr. Mtonga.
Good evening.
Very good conversation. I think it's about time that we started talking having such conversations. I am one of the big advocates, and I've always wondered, because I live in a country where resources like what we have in Zambia have been put to good use. And the country I live in was not this wealth 60 years ago. They have oil, and they have a sovereign fund. So I've always wondered why we haven't taken off in that regard. They have, of course, nationalized, and we are talking about this because we haven't nationalized, and everybody can apply, get a license, and they can get their profits. But then what hurts us the most, why we are having this conversation, is that the welfare for the country is not translating with what we have. But we start asking the government, right? Infrastructure, we start asking the government, all these things. So Mr. Kang'Ombe has given an example of Ghana. What we know about Ghana is that they have also started working with the borders. I have a few friends from Ghana that live here, and they have told me that they used to take with them gold to Dubai. And unfortunately, it's not possible anymore. So why don't we also advocate that we also look at the borders? Because you and I and the people on the panel will agree that we have a lot of people that are taking gold out of the country through our borders that are not strict. What Ghana has done is to take control. Not too long ago, we heard Council Dixon Jerry defending the land policy. We got educated that everything under the land that we have purchased belongs to the government, and that is what Ghana has done. So if on my farm there are some minerals, they have done visibility study, and they find minerals, then they can come and get. And what I was being explained to was that if, for example, I have land and they have found minerals, the government will come and they will get the gold. But do I want to stay open mind at my farm, or do I agree? So what Ghana is doing is going into an agreement with the individuals that have already purchased land. So I would like to see a situation where we also advocate for policy. All these countries, our colleagues are giving examples, have got very strong institution of governance. It must start with transparency. I fully follow what George is arguing for, and I totally understand him. Honorable Kang'Ombe, you will also agree that, yes, we need functional institutions, otherwise everything will be going out. Why are we arguing for that? Public trust. If our institutions until today are not trusted, we can definitely not trust that they take over the minds. The reason Honorable Kang'Ombe wants to advocate for this, it's a positive move and I totally support it, and we should go that way. Personally, I would like everything to be nationalized, but on condition our institutions must work on frameworks. Bank of Zambia must be in charge, and we must stop thinking short term. We must start thinking long-term investment. Noted Yonse, we go back and we get. Norway, for example, I think has the largest pensions fund, they call it, sovereign wealth fund. They are only allowed to spend 3% per year. 3% for cushioning. Yes, when our kwacha is not doing well, we can cushion. When our economy is not doing well, we can cushion. But we cannot be dependent. Every household that is functional normally have a buffer. So what I would like mainly to advocate for is, can we at least guard our borders if we are to take over, and can we do an introspection? Let us not lie to ourselves. Do we trust our public institutions? Do we trust that they will do this in representation for Zambia? Are they a few people who will still be getting? That is not going to work.
Thank you, my dear sister.
Excellent topic. It's about time. Thank you very much, Kang'Ombe, and thank you very much, comrades. We are really rooting for you. Thank you.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, just a minute, caller. Just a minute. Just a minute. I have my Bluetooth was on this particular handset. Yes, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much. This is Oscar. I'm calling from Italy, and I would like to congratulate, first of all, to the panelists. Indeed, a wonderful program, Honorable Mwamba. Continue with this trend. It's time that we give the Zambian people what they need to understand and to learn about. Thank you. I'm privileged to call on this platform because I have my member of parliament where I come from, and it's Christopher Kang'Ombe. Christopher Kang'Ombe, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
So he's my member of parliament. Bupa Ward, that's where I'm coming from. So, but Christopher Kang'Ombe, what I'm trying to say is, congratulations anyway for the elaborations that you have done, both of you. Indeed, we appreciate it. Now, I think where we have reached now, we have reached at an extent where we need to be very smart. Our friends in Europe, they are very good friends. Americans are good friends to Zambia, but they do business with us. I am calling from here in Italy, where we have a project, a European project, which is called Pian Mattei. Pian Mattei, that is Italian. In English, we will call it Mattei Plan. Mattei Plan was an engineer. He came from Italy, went to Libya, and he established himself in Libya. And he did a business, a very good business with Libya. You remember those years, 1500? There was crude oil and all those riches. So this guy, Pian Mattei, an engineer, had to make deals with the Libyan people or the politicians in Libya to get the advantages of having gas and fuel from Libya. So we have in Italy here, where I come from, we have one of the biggest companies is called ENI. They are the biggest company dealing in fuel and dealing in natural gas in Libya. Now, this engineer, he said he went to Africa and started making some dialogue with them. He did not do deals, hidden deals, like what has happened most of the time to us, like in Zambia, where a government makes a taxation free and exports resources without taxing. Now, this Mattei, he respected the people in Libya. By that time, Kang'Ombe, the northern part of Africa, is the only one which was considered to be Africa. If we were the southern part, we were not being considered as African people. Only northern Libya, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, and other countries, and Somalia and Ethiopia, of course. So, Nomba, apopo to Africa, one say, I'm happy, my friend from the UK, the one who was with the UPND, excuse me,
Patrick Chilufya.
No. The one who's on the platform with you now.
Oh, George N. Mtonga is from the United States.
Mtonga, George Mtonga, you know me. George Mtonga, thank you very much, my dear brother. Doing such type of conversation, I'm telling you, we will build, this is the only way we are going to build our country. Thank you very much, George Mtonga. Thank you very much, Kang'Ombe. Number one, how do we develop our country? Point here, Papa Mwantu Akwali, Sana Mranda wants to have in and around the Fishparichumo. Point here, Pony. Ten to Pange, Yavalanda T. Country decides. Because if you leave a president of a Republic of Zambia, Congo, Kenya to decide, Abasungu, they are so powerful with their policies that they are going to overcome us. No, but in another suggest, why can't we use referendum? If we want to sell our gold, before selling our gold, why can't we use the referendum so that the Zambian people are going to say yes or no? By so doing, we protect our politicians who are so much vulnerable and they can be easily corrupted.
Thank you. Thank you, Father.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father.
so
Let
much.
me take some more calls. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of people are advocating the role of, they're saying we take what Ghana or what Tanzania are doing in regard to illegal mining and artisanal mining. I think they've banned foreigners in this sector and then they've centralized the buyer. the others are also sending messages about Rwanda, that we can learn from Rwanda, because Rwanda knew that there's gold being smuggled either from Uganda, from the DRC. So what Ghana has done, what Rwanda has done, is to set up smelting facilities, and it has become one of the largest exporter of gold in Africa, yet it has little gold. Innovation from government, realistic approaches. Gentlemen, hello caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Mr. Mwamba. My name is Clement Jovu, calling you from Osaka.
Yes, Collins, make your contributions.
Clement. Yeah. And evening the people on the panel. So my contribution.
Good evening.
I've actually taken an interest in what George mentioned about his view, and also Honorable Kang'Ombe. So you see, when you do mining, one thing that comes out that you're not just only doing mining, but also causing land use change. So I feel one is that if we continue to allow foreigners to actually come and mine our gold, for example, we are getting a situation whereby the impacts of mining activities will not be they will not be responsible for that. So they'll come, maybe they are Rwandese and other foreigners. They'll just do and go out. But the repercussions that come with mining are going to be with us for many years. So me, I feel like what should be done, like I am siding more with Honorable Kang'Ombe, his approach and his model, because one is if the government is in charge, that they take control, and they also put controls in terms of who's supposed to do the money. It should be done by the local people. So that means we'll be able to actually be responsible for whatever side effects of that mining. And for example, say if we have, like you mentioned about the external fund, it means if people have been given these licenses to go and mine, for example, and these are local people, they'll be able to do it in a sustainable manner. And
thank you, my brothers. You can hear in the background there are more calls.
For example, you mentioned about the...
Thank you, my brother. I think you've made your point. Let's take some more calls before we allow the panel to answer. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Good evening, Ambassador. Good evening, George, Kang'Ombe, Christopher.
Thank you very much.
Ambassador, nala pera kwa example ya kuma ministries ya mbideni oro njikushana question ya Kang'Ombe. Nga namwelera sana kunuma kulwa pula kwalifyo kula lite kafye nesa. So under the Ministry of Agriculture, walisa sensitize abantu bakulu program bati namataba kuti bali mokupira kuri government pali ino nchitarwa pula ila chita produce amataba yengi sana. Then ngatwara kunchenda na kuchipata chali vyo file nomba yara barama farmers abalima ya mataba barakwata ilati multi-purpose corporate certificate. Nishi government ngatakwe bati yasangati kuna kunchenda ya barama farmers kare kule sangwa god but olete kwa barama farmers abakwata na ma certificate ama multi-purpose certificate. So government ushe ni state ya wulira ya ma cooperative zali kunchenda kulokole fuma kodo ene miniro baba chita sensitize kweba timwe ba cooperative already bali kwatana ma account yao na mu ma minerals kutimwa chitamwe invest baba chita sensitize kweba ti ile certificate yao ma purpose ba chita connect ba ingira na ku mining ni gold baba chita sensitize ukuchira kuli ama farmers aba kwatana ma cooperatives but kwa sababu after kuli minero oromba babura abantu akuli Vinston bamupera certificate ya cooperate ukuya chitira okuya mukuchitira operate kula kwene kumfumbwe inchibara ma farmers mena date bakwata opportunity yakwe bati baba na vera ma gold dealers ucheta kwa bakwe fefe apare kuli ama certificate bakwata.
Thank you very much. I think his point is very clear, is that wherever you find gold, people are sitting on it already. It could be farmers, it could be villagers. Why isn't there an opportunity given to the local community? But you are issuing these exploration licenses to people that live from elsewhere who come then to claim the ownership and begin to benefit from that resource. Very good point. Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, my name, I want to remain anonymous.
Yes, anonymous. Make your contribution.
Good evening, Mr. Momban. Good evening, the panelists.
Thank you very much. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm somebody that has been doing mining in Zambia for many years, since 2002 in Zambia. And knowing that Zambia's got deposits of gold, it's not today. We knew many years ago. But one of the things that is really paining us is me seeing how the foreigners are getting our gold and going with it, more especially Tanzanians and people from Burundi and other countries. It is really painful because if that gold, it is going in kgs. The statement that you said maybe Zambia can benefit within 3 months, you can actually get gold and not even borrow money from IMF. We have deposits of gold. I've experienced, I know the map of Zambia. I'm a surveyor. I know what Zambia has. Just the produce of the deposit of gold, it can really benefit the entire Zambia, and you cannot depend on IMF money. You can actually produce money within the mining sector. You even do mining into coal, because the deposit of coal itself, it is very huge. It can feed the entire Zambia. You have the deposit of other minerals. We are into surveying, and we know what Zambia has. I'm ever in the bush. So with me, I'm even training my own children to do it. Like my last born, who is 8 years, I'm already teaching them how to do mining in Zambia. But the government, we are even scared to review some of the things to the government because of how the government come with full force to chase the illegal miners. Even though with me, I've acquired some papers here and there. But please, I would like us to go deep and check how best can we work as Zambians into the mining sector. And please, I want to request if we can really put security with the foreigners not going with our gold outside Zambia. We need gold to remain in Zambia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller.
Hello, Bamulishani.
Iyo ndife bwino bane nimwe bani mukwaila ndeni po I've got George Mtonga and Honorable Kang'Ombe.
Yeah, Chief here from the UK.
Oh, I'm quite Chief from the United Kingdom.
Yes, I sent you messages. I think you probably haven't seen them.
Okay, because we're using the same phone. Yeah, I haven't. Sorry, but you can just summarize your thoughts.
Yeah, let me get to the point. And how amazing you are hosting George, who I probably argued with when he was supporting the UPND guys when they were in opposition. But
no, he's a nationalist. George is a nationalist.
Okay.
Like all of us, and we all belong to political parties, but there are national debates.
Yes, I am as well. But what I'm trying to say is, why is it that we believe we've got to get a white man to come and mine our minerals? George, you are there listening. And by the way, Honorable Kang'Ombe, thank you for what you have said so far. We don't need We don't need a foreigner to come to our country to mine our minerals. What is it that we can't do that they do? That is what probably we should be focusing on. And by the way, Mwamba, I'm going to send you a message. Please pass my number on to George and Honorable Kang'Ombe. Let me get in touch with them.
Thank you. I'll do that. I'll send them your number. They'll get in touch with you.
Please.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's made very clear. Let's start with Honorable Kang'Ombe. Honorable Kang'Ombe, just your reflection over the callers and their concerns, and then we move to George, then we open the phone lines again.
Very, very quickly.
Honorable Kang'Ombe, you're on the floor.
Hello, are you getting me?
Honorable Kang'Ombe, you're on the floor. I guess it's lagging. You know when you are doing
Okay, yeah.
a remote broadcast, it's not.
The first caller.
Honorable Kang'Ombe, you are on the floor.
I'll start with the first caller who raised an important issue. As we proceed with the proposal that I've suggested, the proposal that...
I notice Honorable Kang'Ombe is watching on a device and the device is lagging behind.
Hello?
I think I can hear him. I don't know if you can hear him.
Honorable Kang'Ombe.
Hello, Bamwamba.
Okay, I understand what's happening. He's monitoring on a device that's lagging. It's not live, and he might not have noticed. It's but it's lagging. So Honorable Kang'Ombe, I want you to start with the callers. Okay, when we resolve that issue, I'll invite Honorable Kang'Ombe. He seems to be lagging behind a bit. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Hello, caller. It could be my monitor. I'm told Honorable Kang'Ombe is actually live. It could be my monitor. Yeah, please make your contribution. I'll bring on Honorable Kang'Ombe.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mama, for this very important program. My name is Kefas Jau, from the banking sector for many years. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Yeah. No, I've been following the discussions. I think they are very, very beneficial, and I was just trying to contribute in terms of how do we create and strengthen the value chains, which is exploration and regulation. When you look at the role of government in this space, it's very, very important. Then I looked at the issue of production and the issue also of processing. There is a caller who was talking about smelting facilities and other factors. And then there is the issue of marketing. So at every stage, there is a need for financial injection. How do we address the financing gaps in the entire value chain so that we can get our value as a country? So I think there is a need for collaboration, government, and also the financial sector, and also the people to provide the technical support when we're talking of processing and also as marketing. So all these gaps, we need to address them, and making sure that the participation is at grassroots level, where you create structures which are regulated and are properly financed, because this is quite a capital intensive project in terms of how do people participate when they don't have capital. They are undercapitalized. So that's why the financial sector is very, very important. I heard somebody contributing on the stock exchange. That is a very, very critical tool, because the stock exchange actually aggregates savings in the country, so that even when you do the crowdfunding through the stock exchange, you are able to capitalize the gold mining sector. So my contribution is basically to alert the financial institutions, and also to make sure that this value chain is catered for from end to end, and we'll be able to see the results.
Okay.
It's very exciting that once the marketing is properly done, the central bank is one of the key beneficiaries, and we'll start seeing the impact on our domestic currency actually strengthening, because the reserves will be adequate just from ordinary people of this country. That's my contribution for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba, Patrick Chilufya from the UK.
Yes,
yeah, good evening, George Mtonga. Good evening, my young brother, Christopher Kang'Ombe. Mwamba, I've listened to both sides. Actually, they're both making sense. And at the end of the day, they're both talking about the same thing. But my contribution here is, one, I remember my young brother George Mtonga complaining about the government interference, which may be true, but then this is where now, things need to change. To start with, when you look at Botswana, the Botswana model, if we can steal it and use it, according to our local conditions, it can be the best. Because Botswana has a policy which protects their minerals. So it doesn't matter if Georgia has got a farm, Kumushili, Pasasanga gold there, or diamonds. Those diamonds belong to the government. So what the government will do is they will pay George for the land, market value of the land, because the minerals belongs to all Zambians or all Swanas. So they need to be protected. That's the starting point. And then two, we need to have a comprehensive mining policy. Zambian government doesn't have a policy. We knew a long time ago, it's under Mwanawasa government that we first opened the gold mining company in I think Arabi or Mwanawasa in Mazabuka. I think you can agree with me, Bamwamba, or somebody there on the panel. So it's over 20 years. Why haven't we had the policy on precious metals and minerals? A comprehensive policy, not firefighting. Kaunda already had the policy on precious metals and minerals. We had Ndora Refinery, which was refining, owned by the government, Parastatal, owned by the government, refining gold and other minerals. And then we had precious metal plant in Ndola again, polishing the emeralds and everything. What happened? During privatization, Chiruba government sold those two refineries to a company called Benoni of Zimbabwe, which is a subsidiary of Benoni PLC of South Africa. And they shifted the machinery to South Africa. Who does that? So then the concern George Mtonga, not until we bring leadership into politics, we are not going to succeed in whatever we are doing. And also reduce the powers of that president interfering in the running of the businesses and the parastatals. When you look at the gold mine, the gold, Zambia gold, there's 49% government, 51% ZCCM HI. Who has appointed the chairman of ZCCM HR? Is the president. Probably even the CEO. Not until we change that system, corporate governance system, where the president elects the chairman, and elects the CEO and start interfering. Look at Mopani. The president interfered in Mopani. And that's why we are in this situation. So, Mwamba, we can do it. Artisanal mining, in the manifesto of UPND, they said artisanal mining was going to be for Zambians. And then other minings can be for other companies. But again, Bamwamba, if we leave mining to foreign companies, we are going to be exploited. We are still being exploited. Where are the copper sales going to? Dollars. They don't come to Zambia. We don't have a local content law in Zambia which protects a Zambian businessman. And then Bamwamba, in Botswana, the government owns 50% of the minerals. The beers own 50%. Not until we have control, we're going to have situations where we are exploited, transfer pricing, tax avoidance, tax evasion. We've talked about Kansanshi already sending 1 billion to the subsidiary of KFM. That is forward purchase, forward contracts. Forward contracts is similar to transfer pricing because that gold they are sending maybe is priced maybe at less than market price. And then when they start, because that contract might be 5 years, 10 years, who's going to lose? Because the gold prices will keep on going up. So I'm for the idea that artisanal mining, just like emeralds, they need to be run by Zambians. Then they sell to the Reserve Bank, and also the government needs to come in and help with the finances. That's what Ghana does. Technical support, research, exploration, all those things. And then why do we need gold? Gold is the money of the future. You know that the dollar used to be backed by gold. It's no longer backed by gold. The dollar is going to collapse one day. The UK, why is the pound strong? Because the UK has 640 billion worth of gold under the Reserve Bank. So when the pound shakes, because the UK knows that they import almost everything, even bananas, we import in the UK. The moment the pound starts shaking, what do? They've got a company called Gold Meat. They will sell a paper gold.
Bachilufia, let me take a few calls.
So they will sell the paper gold, and cushion the pound. I rest my case.
Thank you, Bachilufia. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello?
Yes, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, my name is Ken. I'm calling from Kitwe. First of all, Bamwamba, I want to commend you for this step that you've taken. I think these are the kind of programs that you need to be bringing frequently so that most of us can participate, moving away from politics. And I want to commend the Honorable and George Mtonga for their arguments. But my quick take is, I think from my quick analysis, Mr. Mtonga is very strong. He's looking at the issue from an investment and business perspective. So he's very cautious of the risks that are involved. And in my view, I think it's a very a good combination because the Honorable, who is a member of Parliament, is able to provide legislation that will assure Mr. Mtonga that if they invest in the ideas that are being put across, their investments will be secure. So I think this is a combination that needs to work together. So I would actually implore Honorable Kang'Ombe to formally invite Mr. Mtonga on the platform that he has, the Society for Ideas, for Development. I'm not sure if I got it correctly. So that we come up with ideas that will help us move this way. It's not a matter of if we will do it, it's a matter of how we'll do it. Because every all-meaning Zambian should be interested in this idea as it will help us in a very short period of time and it will be less work for everyone, and it will benefit everyone in the country. I submit, Wamo.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Sensho Banda.
Honorable Sensho Banda, good day. Please make your contribution.
Thank you very much. I hear out Honorable Kang'Ombe. He presented a strong case of prioritizing Zambia's ownership and benefits in the mining sector. Of course, which is rooted in the idea of national self-determination and also build a strong economy through local control and of valuable resources. His view is understandable and is popular. However, it poses economical pitfalls rather, and a school of thought, because there are a number of issues which it must take into consideration. For example, it must take into consideration global perspective and our economic reality. Indeed, the statement, which is the school of thought, risks Zambians to be excluded from the global capital and expertise which are needed. You know that mining is a very expensive venture. It requires massive upfront capital, advanced technology, and specialized skills. And not only that, the other downside to his proposal is that, again, he's saying that Zambia Gold Company should be the sole buyer of the gold, and this gold being held in Bank of Zambia. Of course, this school of thought has got merits, but also it has got significant flaws. For example, it brings into play market inefficiencies. Monopoly, again, we work against the artisanal miners and all other small players, because what if this particular company gives gold at a lower price compared to the market price? This will again create a black market. Not only that, it also matters holding gold in Bank of Zambia, for example, the 2.8 million does not mean much unless it's in liquid form. So basically, a large reserve is an asset. But it's only valuable when actually it is used to stabilize the economy or back international trade, or indeed, to deal with any imminent risk. That's it. It also raises another
Thank you, Honorable Sensho Banda. Thank you.
that,
Thank you so much. I think your point has been made very clear. Thank you, Honorable Sensho Banda. Hello, caller. Make your contribution so that we can go to the panel to begin to make final comments, and then we close the program. Make your contribution.
Okay, thank you so much. It's me, What Code again. What people are saying that mining, it really needs a huge capital. The honest truth is mining doesn't really need, more especially the mining in Zambia, it doesn't really need a huge capital. Can you hear me, Mr.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, it doesn't really need a huge capital. I'll tell you the truth that with me, I've gone to the mine without money. I just go with my transport money or my car. When I get to the mine, the money that I come back with, within a week, I can even come back with 500,000 kwacha. So you don't really need huge capital for you to start mining. Unless when now it gets at a certain stage where now you start involving machinery like excavators and other moving machines, that's when now you need a lot of money. But you start with just little money for you to get big money that is on the ground. So
Thank you very much. You are right. You are right. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from as we begin to close. I allow my panel to make their final contribution.
Good evening, Ambassador, and thank you for taking my call. My name is Anonymous, calling you from the land of AI.
Anonymous from the land of AI, make your contribution.
Yes, sir. So the problem with the mining sector, in as far as I'm concerned, I think the problem is leadership. Particularly in Zambia, the problem is leadership. On a technical level, we have brilliant miners. I believe honorable there is got experience in mining. I think George is a brilliant accounting professional. So on the technical level, we have brilliant people. You know, and the problem that we have is corruption and selling off our country and getting back kicks and things like that. The gap of leadership, when it is filled, we will have responsible management of the mining sector. We will be able to, talk of increasing our gold reserves. We'll be able to talk of situations where even when we don't have mining equipment, we can literally hire an entire mining company to carry out mining whilst we own the mines. And that's real. I worked as a safety trainer at Monadi Nickel Mine in Mazabuka. And that is what was happening. The owner of the mine was Chinese. The mining company was Baincat from Canada. And they came with their equipment. They did not own the mine, but they carried out mining activities there. And it's possible we can do that. Zambians are brilliant. The problem is leadership. We just need to make the right decisions. That was my contribution. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Colleagues on the panel, thank you very much for the opportunity you gave me and for sharing your thoughts with Zambians. We're discussing the gold sub-sector. You heard the concerns of Zambians. You heard their contribution and submissions. They've heard from both of you. Your proposals probably require a hybrid where we take some form of the proposals from George and your proposals, Honorable Kang'Ombe, where there is state participation. But what is clear is our financial markets, George, even if George is very optimistic, they are not fully developed. And then who provides the capital in the intervening period? Look at ZCCMIH. I think it's the politicians that have never allowed ZCCMIH to grow. ZCCMIH just needed $300 million to borrow from the market and run Mopani. But the politicians prevented it because the politicians had a model where they needed an equity partner, a process, we can't just discuss now. So I think there is a role for the financial markets and a liberal approach, but there's also a role of state participation. Begin to answer to the concerns of our people and make your closing remarks, because I see that Honorable Kang'Ombe keeps on looking at the watch. He probably has another meeting, being a member of parliament. Honorable Kang'Ombe, you are on the floor.
So are you able to pick my voice? Hello? Hello? Are you able to pick my voice? I'll start with the last caller. Hello? Hello, are you able to pick my voice? Hello, Bamwamba, are you able to pick my voice? I want to start with the last caller who talked about the lack of leadership.
You are on, Honorable. Just proceed to make your contributions. You're on.
Okay, I'll proceed with my comments, my reaction. I'll start with the last caller. The last caller says, we have enough technical expertise. I agree with him. What we lack is leadership. It's not just leadership. We also don't believe in ourselves. But for me, as Christopher Kang'Ombe, I believe in the ability of Zambians, and I've been emphasizing this point. And what I'm proposing is leadership. I'm proposing that we take the step, because in leadership, you have to take a step. I'm proposing that, can we exclusively allow Zambians to mine its gold? Can we ensure that government plays its role? And I know that everyone has been emphasizing the fact that Zambia will be excluded from the global perspective. I think that is what former MP Sencho Banda was saying. But Sencho Banda ignored one important aspect. And that important aspect is that the gold sector at the moment has been subjected to competitive forces. The same free market economy which my brother George has been referring to. Currently, the free market economy is at play. It hasn't responded. Currently, we have 2.8 tons of gold at Bank of Zambia. The free market hasn't responded. Christopher Kang'Ombe is saying, can we ensure that all artisanal miners produce the gold and sell it to an aggregator, which is the Zambia Gold Company, and we get the gold into Bank of Zambia? That is what I'm proposing, because the free market economy hasn't responded. I want us to ensure that we get it right. How do we get it right? Let's not allow people to come and get our gold and take it outside. Let's get our gold into Bank of Zambia. That is what I'm proposing. So for me, I want to close my submissions today, that what I'm proposing has a basis, has a foundation. What is that foundation? The foundation is that we don't have enough gold in Bank of Zambia. We don't have enough Zambians participating in the gold subsector. Will my proposal work? Yes, my proposal will work. Leadership has to be provided. Then the technical issues will be dealt with. Let us first agree that this is a principle that has to be established. So in conclusion, I want to thank everyone that has called in, everyone that has participated. I want to thank George for his submissions, but let it be put on record that from exploration to mining to the actual gold marketing, it should be exclusively for Zambians, because the current free market has not yielded the results that we've desired. Thank you, Bamwamba.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kang'Ombe, and thank you for your answer. For your answers, I noticed that you are looking at your watch. You probably have another meeting. I can quickly excuse you. In protocol, I should have started with George, then end up with you because you are our member of parliament. But however, because you are looking at your watch frequently and I've kept you for 2 hours, I think that you should be allowed to go and do some other urgent matter. Thank you very much. But remember, Honorable Kang'Ombe, we have a date. You are coming for the profiling. You are coming for the profiling of you. I haven't covered you either on the Conversation podcast or on this. We want to hear about your leadership aspirations for 2026. What are you doing? Will you participate in the leadership in the PF? So you becoming in that role. But today, we just wanted to discuss the gold issue and the gold subsector. And thank you for your contributions. I will invite George to, and I've excused Honorable Kang'Ombe. He can shut his computer and go. Thank you very much. I will invite George to take his the concerns from Honorable Kang'Ombe and the concerns from the callers. And my concerns is that the financial markets are not properly deepened in our country. Our pension funds are just literally actually just looted. And we have not utilized them very well, other than the politicians who direct where the pension funds should go, which assets of the pension houses should be sold. You have a point about the role of the market, foreign investment, but attend to these concerns that Honorable Kang'Ombe has spoken to.
And obviously, thank you very much to Honorable Kang'Ombe's participation. This is a very good topic. But what I've always seen in the conversation, Ambassador, is that we don't have the level of trust that Honorable Kang'Ombe has in government. Right now, you just spoke about pension funds and how government decides to allocate to specific assets. We are in a situation where a government can literally say, "Hey, we have a politician who we like, who has a specific project. Let's allocate money to that person." This is where the mistrust is coming from, and my conversation should be looked at as, who's speaking for these business people? Who's protecting the interests of these business people from the overwhelming power of the government? Because you will find yourself in a situation where any deviation of your business from the mandate that government is placing on you may cause problems for your business. If I create a business model, it is based on my assessment of what the market is looking for. If I decide to invest in gold mining, it is because I've already made my own assessment as a Zambian to engage in this market. Now, if my business plan does not yield, so in my assessment of my success, I have my own business model, but in order for me to deal with the government, I need to change my business model. Who's protecting these businesses from the government, from government intrusion? You will find these situations where somebody has spent $1 million. A Zambian has spent $1 million to engage in a specific business. And you have a government where, do you trust? And when I say government here, I'm not talking about a specific political party government. I'm just saying, in general, our government or state institutions are not used in support of a free market economy, an economy where each and every individual can legitimately feel that if I do A, B, C, D, I'm going to succeed. Ambassador, you are mentioning of a situation where a government is directing financial investments in pension funds to specific projects. That's not the level of involvement we want. Now, if we can't trust that these institutions are going to operate for the interest of an economy that is growing and an economy that needs to grow, when Honorable Kang'Ombe comes and tells me and say, hey, we want government to be involved on this and this and this and this, the assumption is that we trust state institution. The assumption is that the Honorable feels that government is actually going to come and do the right thing. That is the basis of that assumption. If he trusts that government should be involved at this level, I don't trust government. I feel strongly there are elements that may be politicized, licensing processes that will be politicized, access to that exploration data that he's talking about. You may find yourself being in a situation where that access is limited to specific individuals that a government wants to take advantage of that opportunity. So one of the commentators legitimately had the concern. We don't have trust in our institutions. We don't trust that our institutions will operate freely and fairly from political intrusion. So that's one thing. The other thing is this concept of ownership and market capitalization and being able to secure the funding. Ambassador, I am not disputing the need for Zambians to own Zambian assets. That's a given. But we can achieve that in so many ways. The Lusaka Stock Exchange has had the same companies for years. What innovation is being done by these market participants? What are they building that will allow more people to say, hey, I have a company, can I list my shares so that I can raise capital? I do not think, Ambassador, as much as the individuals may be concerned about capital, I don't think that would be an issue in a market where people free and fair. Because we can simply say, okay, we have an allocation of land. These are the exploration licenses that are available. We can take those exploration licenses, float them on the financial market, and those individuals who feel that there's a potential can raise the money, and those people who want to invest can invest. I don't think for a number of Zambians, capital would be an issue. You remember you were saying, well, $300 million, we could have easily raised the $300 million in capital markets. And yes, it's true. If the Zambian government said, hey, we need an equity partner, we need $300 million, we are going to list these shares on the Lusaka Stock Exchange. Those of you who are interested in buying, you can buy. The Zambian government would have raised that $300 million. And the Zambian retail investors would be the owners of that company. The issue here is government being free and fair in the execution of an economy. We are in a system, Ambassador, where your fealty to the ruling party or the government dictates the economic success that you're going to have in the country. And this is why my goal is not to completely say government don't get involved, but at the same time, we want a business person to decide what they want to do about gold, make the necessary capital investments they need to make, and those businesses are Zambian businesses. Make those decisions and operate in a market where I'm not, if the government doesn't give me the correct price, I can sell to whoever gives me the highest price. We don't want a situation where it cost me $100 to produce gold and bring it to the government, but the government says we will pay you $90. And guess what? You can't do anything because it's illegal if you decide to sell outside. And outside, they're giving you 110. At that point, my business model said that in order for me to be profitable, I need to secure a price at $100. That because I spent money, I invested in equipment. If the Zambian government is not buying at $100, and we have these problems with FRA, a lot of farmers, when they look at that price and they look at the cost of production for the goods that the government is buying, they never make money. Some of them don't even break even. But guess what? They are going to sell to the government. We don't want a situation like FRA where people make these investments and they have their own cost structures, and yet the government simply comes in with a law, mind you. That's not free markets. With the law saying we will pay $90 for that gold that cost you $100 to make. And guess what? You cannot sell it outside Zambia. You have to sell it to us. That's where the problem with what Honorable Kang'Ombe is saying is coming from. We can find a better path. We can find a path where we empower Zambians, but the free market allows that freedom and fairness for people who are investing in this industry to actually get the most value they can get out of their investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, George. George, just stay behind a bit. Let's take some callers. I had to relieve Honorable Kang'Ombe to go, but let's see if we can have a last set of callers and we allow you to go. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Mwewa, and I'm calling from within the Copperbelt province of Zambia.
Thank you, Mwewa. Make your contributions.
Yeah, I'm a mining personnel and a geoscientist.
Yeah.
Actually, the two participants, your guests today, have spoken very well, and with a very narrow point of departure in their ideas. And for the most part, their ideas are more nationalistic in nature, and they're looking forward to empowering the Zambian person and the country at large to benefit from our mineral wealth. When it comes to how these resources are being managed, I think I'm an advocate of banning small foreign players in the artisanal gold mining or even copper mining industry, banning the foreigners to participating in these small scale mining entities, and make it a full preserve of the Zambian people, so that the Zambian person can benefit and be a player in the ideas of Mr. Mtonga, where they participate in the investment. Should big entities come and invest in the mining sectors, or the government itself invite Zambians who have already created wealth, which they can invest in this industry to benefit from the gold and even the copper mining. The second point that I always look at, and I feel so bad that our Zambian person is here, for example, in Chingola, being called an illegal miner when they sell this copper ore or telling material that they get from these old dumps, and they're selling it to the Chinese people who are, at the end of the day, are registered entities, and they're producing copper that they're making even more money. These should not be called illegal miners at the moment, as long as we have these players who are registered and have own no single mine in Chingola, in Chilabombo, or any town on the copper belt, but they're producing copper at the end of the day, which is legally exported out of the country. Yet our own Zambian people are mining this, who are selling to them are illegal. We hate ourselves. We see Tanzania has introduced, has banned certain businesses being done by foreigners, and this is the way to go for Zambia if Zambia is to create wealth from within the Zambians. And I always say that these foreign entities should participate in mining by, first of all, themselves now, not going to these old mines, engage themselves in exploration and further go on into the mining itself, and like coming to Zambia to get these dumps which the Zambians can benefit from. So in a nutshell, I'm saying let the Zambian person benefit in the line of either the direction of Honorable Kang'Ombe or the direction of Mr. Mtonga, who have both brought very good ideas. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba, and kudos for this good program that you have brought.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. John Maro here.
Yes, Mr. Mabo from Italy. Yeah, thank you very much. Make your contribution, my brother.
I hope you are well, Ambassador, and Mr. Mtonga.
Yeah.
Is he Mr. Mtonga or?
Yes, it's Mr. Mtonga.
Yes. George Mtonga, yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. I know that and I'm sure you are aware, Mr. Mtonga, that our country is a third world country, you know? And if you go on the ground, there is a place, maybe it's better I don't mention it. So these artisan miners, they go through a lot because, as you mentioned, there they have groups, and mostly their groups have commanders. So those commanders are usually cadres. And for example, they will mine, maybe 10 guys will mine, maybe powdered gold, or sometimes when they are lucky, they find Akariwefeka gold. And what happens usually is that they'll sell maybe for $4,000, and then the commanders will, that's about 100,000 quetzalets, and then the commanders will say, oh guys, we bought you food here and there, this is 25,000 for us, for the equipment you use, another 25, so they get 50, and they remain with 50,000, and then they share amongst them with amongst maybe 5 or 10 people, so they get maybe about 5,000 each. And I don't know where you got your MBA. I got my MBA in China, and in macroeconomics, one of the modules, it talked about hedge against inflation, you know. And it's because it's a potential, you know, hedge against rising prices. Like now, what's happening in our country? Those guys, when the guys who do the actual work, when they work, the money they get doesn't really even help them. And then sometimes they resort to, you know, committing crimes. And one of the things they saw on the ground is that cooperatives might help them. Cooperatives that can be regulated by the government. I know that, yes, it's difficult because our third world countries, you can't really trust the governments. That's why we need people like you. If it will be possible, come back and be part of the political revolution that's happening. We need patriotic people. The government needs to really have the mining sector properly handled. Because, you know, it's about economic stability. You know, one of the countries that have significant gold reserves is China, actually. And the United States can't manipulate the Chinese yuan because they leverage using their gold reserves. And for us, they can do whatever they want because our legal tender doesn't even have any value, according to them, because our reserves, like Bank of Zambia, they don't have even, you know, we borrow these monies like from the IMF. But in diversification, we can really have gold as an asset, which will help us reduce dependence on other foreign investments and currencies.
Thank you, Mr. Mabo. Thank you very much, Mr. Mabo. Thank you very much for your contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Please make your contributions.
Okay. My name is Nancy. Calling from the Copper Belt. In the mining field.
Yeah.
Listening to the contributions from the two panelists, what I'm seeing is that maybe there is not so much understanding of how, for example, the gold deposits that we are having in Northwestern Province actually occur. Those are alluvial golds which are just on surface or very close to surface. You don't need so much in terms of capital to invest. So we don't even need the so-called investors to go there. That's why we have people with nothing going there and coming back with the gold. So we should just leave it for our people, just the indigenous Zambians. You see, this when George referred to, we don't want government to come in because, like, he's referring to the the FRA arrangement. I think government can still play a role. Let's say the way the FISP works, if there are people that government supports with equipment, with finances for them to get to those sites and mine the gold, then they can tell those people the way the FISP is, where they say, if you get implements from us, you have to give us a certain number of bags of maize at the end of your harvest. So those people can be asked to bring a certain quantity of gold to the government because they've been given support. While those who are taking themselves there without any support from government should be free to either government buys from those at the international market price or they can sell to other buyers. So in that way, government can still benefit from that deposit, and also the indigenous Zambians are going to benefit, and money income of a Zambian is still going to be used here. It's not likely to go outside. So to try to say that if government plays a big role in that, we're going to lose out because government cannot be fair, I think it's limiting ourselves and making it look like we cannot do these things to benefit us. We just lack that capacity of operating in a way that is beneficial to our country. So I think for this one, the issue of gold, let it just be for the Zambians. We should not try to formalize it too much, and because these come with so many obligations of, making it so difficult for a common person to take part in this and make their money. So let it be made very easy for the common Zambian to be able to make the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me take the last three calls, and guys, we wind up. Last three calls, and George, I invite you to make your last remarks. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, hi, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Enoch calling you from Kitwe.
Thank you, Enoch. Make your contributions.
Yes, Ambassador. I just want to commend you for this great platform. Very informative, and I think these are the type of conversations we need to be having going forward in the country.
Thank you.
I'll go straight into my contribution, Ambassador. I agree with, I think, both of the speakers on the panel, George Mtonga and Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe. I strongly believe that we can harmonize these two opinions or proposals that have, I think, been put across on the platform this evening, Ambassador. There's a strong need for Zambians, locals, to participate in this gold subsector and also to benefit. But there's also, on the other side, need for us to allow the private sector to participate, which is the free market. And I strongly also feel that there's a strong need for the stock market of this country to grow, because if we do not give it the opportunity, then it will never grow. But most importantly, I think, like the previous speakers have alluded to, we urgently need the local people to participate. As we know, for the gold mining process, we don't need capital intensive investments to realize some of the benefits that countries like Ghana and Tanzania are currently benefiting from. I would also love to mention, Ambassador, that I think the biggest curse that we've suffered in the country is the greed and selfishness of politicians, because politicians that are ahead of people, unfortunately, are benefiting through some of these things. We need patriots, nationalists, and we need people that have got the heart for the local people that are suffering in these communities. That is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's one down. Let me take two more. Then I invite George to give his closing remarks. And after that, I'll give my closing remarks and tell you what we are waiting for. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba. This is Ian Soko from Lusaka.
Thank you. Make your contributions.
It's just only two questions that obviously I have for the two panelists that we have. The first one, obviously, is how do we ensure that politics is not at play when it comes to enhancing our minerals? Or what policies must be in place to keep the linkages that only empowers foreigners than locals? The second question could be, what kind of partnership models in terms of laws should we implement? Because remember, we cannot run away from, partnerships. I think I'll give an example on construction, where I think it's still there, where you say 20%. Whoever is given that contract, 20% for locals should benefit. Now, in terms of mining industry, I think these are the two cardinal questions that I have for the panelists.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take the last caller. Hello, caller. You're privileged to be the last caller for the day. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Zambia.
Make your contributions.
Yes. What I've noticed mostly, our greatest challenge in Zambia is that it's okay to allow foreigners to come into Zambia and invest, but for us, local ones, we don't have where we can get money to invest in a mine. A foreigner can come into Zambia without any capital, say that they want to invest in Zambia, then they'll go back to their country and get the money that is needed to invest in that mine. But for us, the local ones, we don't have that privilege. So it's the government. We need the government to make sure that they allow us. Certain policies should allow the locals to be able to borrow money and invest. As long as there is that gap, they are not allowing us. There will always be this thing, will be going into circles because the locals, they don't have that privilege of having capital. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you all for your contributions. We end the cause. I know the cause are many, but let's just begin to close. And thank you for your contribution. Today we're discussing the gold subsector. The second last caller has raised an important issue, that things like gold and gold mining doesn't even need a lot of money because it's what is called alluvial. Alluvial is on the surface, so you need just very little money to do an operation of gold mining. Maybe also that has to be considered because we all think that mining is very expensive, but there are things like gold that are usually just found alongside the banks or just surface digging and you find it. But there are other, especially the gold that is found in Northwestern, which is alongside copper, that requires probably extensive capital and extensive equipment because you have to hold the earth and process it to get to the gold and the copper. George, you've heard the views of our people. Please answer to whichever comments you would want to and give your closing remarks.
No, 100%. Obviously, thank you very much to all the callers. I'm always excited to be part of these conversations. And indeed, we have different ways of looking at a problem in Zambia that I think everybody agrees we want the best for the Zambian people. I don't see anything wrong at all with obligating from a legal standpoint of view that Zambians will be the ones to participate in gold because we want to encourage their participation. We also want them to become wealthy from their country. I think that's a baseline. But one area that I think we should look at is in these situations where you don't need a lot of money to get the gold and you can sell it. the caller said that they don't want too many restrictions on this type of mining. In fact, they don't want it to formalize it. Those are the words that they use. They don't want it to become too formal because it's an easy entry point for Zambians. That's exactly what we're saying, right? That's what I'm advocating for. Because look at a situation where value has been found. Zambians are able to. I think the mine that the government recently shut down. What was the Zambian government going to do? They were going to go there, see what's going on, create a licensing process. Zambians by themselves, without any government help, were able to buy the equipment, they were able to set up camps, they were able to set up the entire infrastructure they needed to be able to get the gold out and sell it. That's what a free market is. And I think there may be some confusion when we say free market. It always sounds as if we're talking about foreigners coming in and foreign capital coming in. No, amongst Zambians themselves, even in the gold industry where everybody is Zambian, free market simply means less interference from the Zambian government. We want Zambians to be able to set up the infrastructure to create their own P&Ls, create their own business models. And if the government is a willing buyer of that gold, they can tell us what the price is. And if we feel that price is good, we will take the gold to them. You see, that's what I'm advocating for. Say free markets. I want a miner anywhere in Zambia to say, "Hey, I think there's an opportunity here. Let me pick this up. What are the licensing requirements that the government needs? Okay, you need a license, and that license shouldn't be 4 or 5 months. There should be, and this is where government comes in. Expedite that process. Allow business people to be able to get these licenses within a month, bring in their own money, and they go to Northwestern Province to see if they can get some value out of their investment. This is where government is coming in. But at the same time, we want to keep these markets free in the sense that somebody should simply be able to say, this is what I want to do. I know the government is buying the gold at this price. I don't think I should sell it to them. I'll sell it to this other person. We should be free to make that decision. That is the concept of the free market. When I say free market, I'm talking about those decisions. The government, without a doubt, knowing that the government's intention is to build the wealth of the country, they can also make investments. We are not saying they shouldn't make investments. They can make investments in exploration. Why? Because if the government finds that there are minerals worth mining and investors come in, Zambian investors come in, guess what's going to happen? The government will get tax revenue. So it is within the interest of the Zambian government to make these types of investments so that we can find new industries away from copper. So we are not stopping them from doing that. All we are saying is that allow the business people, allow the people who are making these small investments to participate in the gold market without a hammer on them that forces them to act a certain way, to sell to somebody. Like, those are not going to create the level of innovation that I feel this industry needs. And mind you, if we go very hard on this industry, the government inevitably will start favoring individuals that are bringing in a lot of capital, because it's a good op-ed to say we've brought in $2 billion to invest in the mining industry, and 10 to 20 years from now, you will find there are 3 major gold producers in Zambia. Why? Because that capital infusion is generally something that the Zambian government prefers. But if those big gold companies find a free market where Zambians have taken control over this market, guess what's going to happen? Their investment is buying mines. Their investment is about buying equity in mines already owned by Zambians. That's what we should prepare this industry for. So that's one of my points. In terms of partnerships, one of the callers talked about how should we arrange these partnerships? How should these partnerships look like? My proposal to that is you can make these partnerships as much in a legal framework that you want. The government shouldn't have any say in how you and I decide to do business. As long as we're compliant with what is required, whether it's PACRA, ZRA, all these general compliances, they can do that. I should be able to get my license in Zambia, go to China and make partnerships there and say, hey guys, I have a place that we can explore minerals. Come in, I'll sell you guys 20%, give me $3 million, let's see what we can do. I've received a lot of proposals like that. Why should the government dictate my partnerships in a free market economy? I can create my own partnerships. We can figure out what our shareholding capacity is, and we can produce value. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are not saying the government doesn't have a role. The government has a role. They can create incentives that will allow for us to enter this industry, produce revenue where they can now get taxes. Where our concern is, they think they are doing something good for us, but the only thing that they are doing is preventing innovation. The capacity, like one of the callers said, Zambians are very capable. And the reason why everybody agrees Zambians are capable is because why? If they're in the private sector, they are solving problems. They are making money for shareholders. So yes, Zambians are more than capable of running these mines. But we have to make sure we don't make it difficult for them. We don't make it difficult for them to succeed. It's easier right now in Zambia for you to be a foreigner and try and get a mining license than it is for a Zambian. That's where government needs to work on. Make it easier for us to do business in Zambia. In the mining sector, if I've already made my own business model, all I need is assistance with compliance. I need my license. Take those documents. I will go and make my investment. When I get the gold, I can decide who I sell it to. That's it. That's the Zambian economy that we should be pursuing. Zambians are more than capable. Look at all these small businesses Zambians have started. The innovation is with the Zambian people. The greatest gift we can give them is leaving them alone to pursue their economic agendas. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, George, and thank you for your inspiration closing remarks and for defending the right of businesses to run their support. And again, thank you to Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe that wants empowerment and some deliberate policy to harness the benefits of this gold that we are finding everywhere. We have an interesting week, very interesting week. We have on Sunday on the Diaspora Forum, we have Mr. Brave Kachusha Mushika is currently a chief executive officer running one of the biggest smelting companies in South Africa. And we have Victor Mwava, who's a global metals and mining industrialist expert. And the two who will be joined by Dr. Grieve Chelwa, who will speak on the political economy side of mining. They will speak to the best practices. They've worked in mining industry across the world, and they want to propose some best practices that Zambia can achieve to benefit our people, benefit our economy, and also give value to the investors and people that will be participating in this sector. We harness the issue of mining. I thought I could be very deliberate about it. We started with a precursor today where I brought George N. Mtonga and Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe, and they discussed the subsector of the gold and gold mining because of the quick political implication, especially for young people that are rushing to wherever the gold is. But who are the beneficiaries? It's those foreign owners who come with the Akasaka Kandalam, and they're buying the gold from our people. And there's no taxes being tax benefit. There's no rolling over to the treasury for this money. The sector is literally not properly regulated, and the two speakers proposed what needs to be done. Some things have been implemented, others will be implemented. On Thursday, we bring again on Thursday, Dr. Grieve Chelwa is a chair of the Department of Social Sciences and Associate Professor of Political Economy at the Africa Institute Global Studies University. Is a member of the Purple Commission on Debt and Development Crisis in Global South. Remember, the late Pope commissioned the debt crisis and how to handle debt. The Pope called for, in this Jubilee year, called for debt write-off. We have done a debt restructuring. Have we done a debt restructuring? So Grieve Chelwa sits on the Purple Commission on the debt and development crisis in the Global South. That was appointed by the Vatican and is on that committee, and he was recently voted as one of the best economies in Africa. He will come to discuss 4 years of the UPND government. He will review their economy, their policies, where they've taken us from, and where, if possible, they can take us from. It will be on the economic side. You all know Dr. Grieve Chelwa. He has been on my Conversation podcast. Now, this time, he's coming to review 4 years of the UPND in government. Make a date, that will be on Thursday. On Sunday, he joins that powerful committee that will be discussing the mining sector and proposed mining policies for our country. In between now and Thursday, we'll see. I've got a lot of people that are ready to come on the program, but my technical team is in South Africa and it's a bit difficult to coordinate. But maybe we'll do like what we did today. We did broadcast with Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe over the phone, and it went very well. Maybe we'll do something like that. So God bless you. I'd like to thank George and Honorable Christopher Kang'Ombe for their valuable time and for their dedication to time. Thank you very much. God bless you. We will see you tomorrow.
The party, friends and all. So I only lamented that why should you be stripping me of these things and then pushing me and saying, no, we want to protect you. No, you see, demeaning of the president to be seen to be going without this or that. I said, I don't need you. You don't need me. So I was very clear. I've not complained at all. The time that I've complained is when I've been harassed. I said, you've stripped me of everything, but leave my liberty, my dignity, and my rights. That's what I'm saying even now. You see, 1 minute, I walk the street, somebody says you can't walk the street because you're a former president, you are in danger of being attacked and people might attack you and you'll be blamed as police. That's why we're following you. The next minute I said, but you mean you didn't know that I was former president? When you stripped me of these things, please go and put your house in order. The next minute I want to go to church, somebody goes into church and says,
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuibukisha Kana tepotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Abazunga watita katongi Nakula kuibukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pameso Yangwa maume maya Kiyaba maume Kiyaba maume Twakulila, lelo twakulila Shika kukonke milimo shove Ale filamba, fiena minta pengo sile Deti kume moku londolo la vale Lilo wingi, Iseko wingi mwakwete Iseso wingi mwakwete Mwaya mwende wino tatawe Mama, utituala basiani, chagua katuse.